G'day guys, welcome back to a new episode of the Boundary Riders Podcast. Today's episode 39, and of course we have a few things to the AFL to talk about, a little bit of world sport. We'll get into that as always, but we have our co-host as always, Jack, with me. We just went past the draft, and I guess the first big story of the week, I would say, is the academies.
Yeah.
And the basic talk about basically the equality of the game, if it can be equalised and all that sort of talk. I guess we could ask for your little opinion of it, but I don't think there's really a way that everything can be equal when it comes to all all parts of AFL. I don't think that's possible.
No. When you got 10 teams from Melbourne, Victoria, it's very hard to make it all equal in a way. And then obviously you got to equalise it to help the northern states. Help them out because they're not really AFL states.
No, I mean they get starting to get a lot bigger in the AFL aspect, but they're still rugby league states.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's fair to say. Now, one of the big obviously the big talking point of the academies was basically brought up in this season's draft because of the Gold Coast being able to pick up 3 or 4 players, I think, in the first 25 picks or something.
Yeah. In
their draft, they got picked up. They picked up 4 players in the academy. In their academy picks. Obviously, the Sydney Swans are obviously a big talking point throughout the years with Errol Goulden, Braden Campbell, Nick Blakey, Isaac Heaney, Callum Mills. Obviously, there's a lot of them going through. As reported by Jay Clark from the Herald Sun, he actually reported that clubs tonight made it very clear the frustrations with the academy system and its flaws, and the 3 clubs that were questioning this the most, or sounding the alarm of it, were the West Coast Eagles, Geelong, and Collingwood. So, two of the most successful AFL clubs to date, and one of the richest clubs in the world, are having a go at clubs like the Gold Coast Suns, who have never won a premiership, never made a final series, the GWS, who again have not won a premiership, the Sydney Swans, and of course Brisbane. They're having a go at them for their academies, and it's not like the other clubs don't have academies. We've obviously seen the Western Bulldogs have had an academy because they picked up Ugle Hagen. Other clubs have their systems working through, but the likes of Collingwood, who are one of the are the biggest club in the country, Geelong, who have attracted some of the biggest players around the country, like Dangerfield way back in the day. They've been able to attract players from the Giants, like Jeremy Cameron, Tanner Bruin recently as well. So they've been one of the more attractive clubs when it comes to player movement. And West Coast, who are, I think, the richest club in the AFL, or at least one of the top 3. Yeah. Get a grip. No, come on. Like, I get the equalisation of the academy, so I get it. Like, they don't have access to a player like Jed Walter, who, West Coast may well have picked up at pick 1. They wouldn't have. They would have picked Harley Reid anyway, but they could have if they wanted to. But you could also make the point of the father-son rule.
Yeah.
Like, Nick Dacos was picked at pick 2, I believe.
Yeah.
When the bid was put into pick 2, and someone could have picked him up and very well could have had Nick Dacos. But you could make the same point. Oh, well, it's unfair that Nick Dacos got picked up from Collingwood because of just a rule that allowed him to get there first, so they got first dibs. I mean, you could make the point for that as well. So for clubs to come out and have a go about the academies specifically is a joke. And if you want to talk about equality, the fact that look, I agree that Geelong should have games down at their home ground. But I think they should also be against the top teams as well, not just against the cellar dwellers and whatever. And Collingwood had 17 games at the MCG out of a possible 26 that they played in 2023.
Yeah.
So is that equal? You want to lose all your games at home, Collingwood? All those games at the MCG? You want to play 6 of them at Marvel to make it equal for you? Give me a break. Absolute joke. Now, looking at the numbers when it comes to the draft, because obviously academy players get picked up from the states that the clubs are in, so New South Wales and Queensland. And also the reasons why they have the academies are because clubs have to attract kids to come to their academies to play. It's not like for example, Isaac Heaney is from Newcastle in New South Wales, which is widely known as one of the biggest rugby areas in New South Wales. So to get him to the Swans Academy was obviously a big deal because he was obviously in a rugby grown area.
Yeah, exactly.
So the reason why they have these academies is to build a specific place for young, talented AFL players in those states. But anyway, looking at the numbers, because obviously Victoria have all these academies. Well, I mean, you could look at the Geelong Falcons, the under-18s comp is all in the Victorian area as well. So Victoria had a total of 38 players selected in this year's draft. There was a total of 77. So that's half of the players were picked from Victoria. Next, we had 14 from Western Australia. So out of the two clubs having a go, Geelong from Victoria, Collingwood from Victoria, and West Coast from WA, 52 of a possible 77 players were selected from those two states.
Yeah.
And they're having a go because the Gold Coast got access to draft picks, who, by the way, may not become good players. Who's to say that Jed Walter won't reach round one, gets into the team, does his ACL, never plays again, does a bunch of injuries. We've seen it happen in the past. Like players get massive injuries who have got a huge amount of talent and just can't play.
Yeah.
Or they could be like Jack Watts, for example, who has a very disappointing career because of all the limelight put on him, and also the likes of like Harley Reid.
Yeah.
Now, looking at the other 25 players, South Australia had 8. New South Wales and the ACT had 6, Queensland had 5, Tasmania 4, and Northern Territory had 2.
Yeah.
So, like I said, 25 of those were, take away the 8. So 17 of the 77 were like not in AFL states. You can't really count Tasmania because it's not enough.
Yeah.
So that's where I think they're going to find the issue when they build their team. Well, I really do hope that Tassie do really start well when they build their team, but obviously it's going to be a big talking point. And also, I think 2 of the Tasmanian players from the draft were picked in the top 20. So one definitely was picked up from North Melbourne, Colby McKercher. He was picked up at pick 2.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just think that's a big thing that is really going to be hard for the Tasmanian teams. And I'll be interested to see those Tasmanian players if they do move to the Tassie team in a couple of years. But yeah, I just think that it's an absolute joke that they can sit there and complain about the academies when it's especially Geelong, Collingwood and the Eagles.
Yeah, I know.
I think that's an absolute joke that it's those 3 clubs that they've mentioned in particular. Maybe he's wrong. I mean, it's not Tom Morris. We got a checkpoint for the podcast mentioning that it wasn't Tom Morris or fuck Tom Morris. But anyway, I just think that they've got they've got a lot more issues on their hands the AFL than trying to equalise the draft, for example, because I think the biggest advantage from anyone in the draft, not just the frustrations with the academy system or father sons and that, but North Melbourne had 4 or 5 picks in the first 20 odd picks, 25 picks. I think that's a little bit more unfair to have access to that many picks with not having to train. I mean, the Gold Coast have had to put money, effort, coaching into coaching these players for this amount of time to then pick them up as academy picks. North Melbourne have just picked them up from the draft. So it's not like they've done a lot here. They've just picked out the best of the talent and picked them out. So I think that's a lot more unfair than a team's having to have academies in there to pick from. I do think that a couple of people have been talking about maybe the Victorian clubs should have more access, not more access, but more opportunities to have academies to then train up their own players specifically. I don't mind that idea, but then I think it also kills off the under-18s championships and that sort of stuff, because why would a Harley Reid, for example, why would he play for why would he play for a Sandringham Dragons and train up through there or whatever? Why would he do that when he could basically get a guaranteed spot on Collingwood's list if he went and played for their academy?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, for example, Collingwood, if he was in their academy, easy enough would have picked him as pick 1. They would have just stolen him from the draft.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you could get rid of all of it, you could keep all of it, but you can't... There's no way they can make it equal.
No.
And I think that maybe these bigger clubs don't have the, equalisation in the draft. But, for example, like a Collingwood, I think on the fixture side of things, I think you get a lot more of the balance going your way, tilted on your side.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Then, I just think that's ridiculous. I don't know, did you have any points to make of this whole situation? Because you did send this to me.
I just think they're just a bunch of crybabies, really. it's just Victorians get their way in the AFL so many times, and the times that it doesn't, they make such a stink about it. And because it's Collingwood, one of the biggest clubs in Australia, doesn't matter what sport, that they are crying about it. And imagine if it was Eddie Maguire as the president.
Well, I'm glad the footy classified isn't on.
I'm serious. I'm being serious. He would fucking be pissed. He'd be on every fucking media
outlet out there trying to
complaining about this. And we've seen him go up to Gillon McLachlan while he was CEO and complain it to him. We've seen him do it. Complain to him.
Yeah, well, all the way back to Andrew Dimitri as well. It's not like it's been
exactly. It's just.
I mean, we saw that with the whole Guernsey debate, obviously.
Yeah, exactly. Like again, so
the prison bars. So, yeah, I just think that's another debate for another day.
Yeah.
I think that was actually the first episode we talked about it.
I think so.
You wouldn't have been on it. It would have been the first ever episode of the podcast. A little bit of a throwback there, but I just think they've got advantages that other teams don't. So I think get over it. And also I think they picked up a pretty good player in the draft, Collingwood. Geelong also had some pretty early picks as well. Mm. And what are they complaining about the draft for anyway? They've never gone to it.
Exactly, yeah.
I just think that's a joke.
Yeah, exactly.
I kind of get West Coast, but also you had pick 1. You could have very well traded your pick 1 for 2, 3, 4. Yeah. And then picked up a bunch of players if you wanted to.
And I like what some reporters were saying is that like all the Victorians should boycott bidding for him. It's good to say. You didn't do it, so so shut up.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to bid for them if you didn't want to. Pick up your own player.
Exactly. You could just pick up the other players in the draft.
Yeah, and pick around them.
And pick around them. And
the Gold Coast wouldn't get these players.
Exactly. So you could do that. But there's a difference between saying it and actually fucking doing it.
Yeah. But I mean, also, they could have just been picked up later in the draft.
Exactly.
So they could easily have done that. But and also, I bet you a couple of those players would be a little bit pissed off in the draft because you get paid higher and you get a better contract if you're in the top 10 or 20 or whatever. Imagine if like a Jed Walter, for example, got picked up at pick 53 and he was expecting to have 3 years and have a big contract in the Gold Coast and be like, nah, I'm not going to do that for you, bro. I don't know if that actually would be an interesting talking point. What would happen if clubs if the Victorian teams just boycotted it?
Yeah.
But I mean, it's not even like the smaller Victorian clubs like St Kilda or the Western Bulldogs. They're not complaining about it. It's the big ones as well. Yeah. Why are they the ones who are complaining? I would understand a lot more if it was the likes of St Kilda or the Western Bulldogs than Collingwood and Geelong.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I just think that's ridiculous. But moving on from that, we do have the AFLW Grand Final confirmed. It is North Melbourne versus Brisbane at Icon Park on Sunday afternoon after North Melbourne won by 1 point over the Crows. So, I don't know why. I get why it's been playing at Icon Park, but I would think that it would be played at a North Melbourne venue. I thought they would be playing at Arden Street.
It's more that because they get a better capacity at Icon Park, but it's already sold out with 4 days before the grand final. Yeah. So I think like this sort of game, it should be played at Marvel Stadium.
But I think it would be. I think they wouldn't mind doing that, but it's also not like the Crows when they sold out Adelaide Oval a couple of years ago when the AFLW Grand Final was there. I don't think they would sell out a Marvel Stadium. They wouldn't sell 40,000 tickets. North Melbourne. Yeah. I don't even know if they have that many members, do they?
Yeah. Well, they probably wouldn't. Yeah.
And there's not even 2 big clubs in AFL standards. North Melbourne is probably the least popular club in Victoria. I would think so.
Yeah, you think so? Yeah, I reckon.
Yeah, and Brisbane definitely aren't very that popular. Like, they're definitely one of the least popular clubs in the AFL. So I don't think there'd be that many Brisbane fans going down to Melbourne, travelling from Brisbane to go down to Melbourne for a grand final. Yeah, so exactly. I don't know if that. Yeah, I just think it's a bit interesting that they're playing it at Icon Park. I guess. I mean, I have not followed much of the AFLW this year. I followed a little bit when the Sydney Swans were doing okay and they got to the finals and we lost to the Crows. But I haven't really followed it too much. I mean, other than you seeing Aaron Phillips retire, did you even follow much of it?
Not much. No. Whatever that shit anyway.
Yeah, not very good at it. Yeah, well, that's a bit of a talking point as well. It's because they don't have enough players good enough to fill out the league to get good enough. I mean, the scores of the final were 32 to 31. Not exactly prime time for me, but that's neither here nor there. I don't want to get into that talking point because I'll get fucking deleted. But yeah, I mean, you have a quick tip for us, I guess?
I think Brisbane win easily.
Easily.
Yeah.
Even though North Melbourne are like, top seeded.
Yeah, well, I don't think that matters. I think Brisbane having the week off will help them win.
Yeah, because they don't have that finals week off. They obviously don't have the finals bye.
Yeah,
either.
so they actually get an advantage to top 4.
Yeah. Well, exactly.
They actually get an advantage.
Yeah.
I think
that's actually another talking point as well. Not so much with the AFLW, but moving into, obviously, I guess I wasn't even going to talk about this, but I'm kind of thinking about it. Do you think the AFL finals system could be changed to give more of an advantage to the top team? Because really, if you finish top or second, there's no difference really between top and second, other than the fact, there is literally nothing. Because if you make the grand final, you are not getting any sort of advantage because it's going to be the MCG. Especially if, let's say Brisbane did finish top and not a Collingwood, they would have still played at the MCG.
Yeah.
I've actually thought of this a little bit. Could they introduce a not so much? Well, I mean, you could almost bring like this, sort of how the NFL works. How the top team would play against the bottom team who made the finals. Could you bring in the 9th team to the finals? I mean, you can have your differing opinion, but 9th would play second, and you play through that, and obviously team 1 gets the bye off the first week. I mean, that could be something they could do to give an advantage to that top team, because at the moment there's not really an advantage for finishing top. So obviously 2nd, 9th, 8th, 3rd. Yeah, so hang on, that wouldn't really work. You'd have to give the first 2 teams off. Again, so it wouldn't really work. It would have to be something different. I don't know how it would work exactly, but there's got to be a way that the top team does get some sort of an advantage. Because, I mean, they did finish top in the minor rounds. They should deserve something. I don't know what it would be.
Yeah.
But I do think the finals fixture, especially when the 19th team of Tassie do come in, I think it would need a bit of an overhaul. Even if it was, I wouldn't mind the idea of a potential playoffs, like they even did in the VFL this year. 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th played in playoffs to then make finals.
Yeah.
I wouldn't actually mind that, especially if they have to have a fucking finals bye.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think they should anyway.
No,
but I would like to see, the likes of 7th versus 10th, 8th versus 9th, and give them a go.
Well, especially this year or next year, how they're going to have this opening round sort of shit. They're having 2 byes anyway, so why would you still have the finals bye?
Yeah.
How many fucking more days do you want to have off, guys?
Considering you have 2 months off every year, which no one else gets, you get paid a lot of money. Look, I get there's obviously a lot more difficulties when playing football. There's obviously a lot more factors for injury and, being in a workplace, obviously there's a lot more dangers for work. So I get that sort of stuff. But also, you get 2 months off, you have a huge amount of money to actually go enjoy it.
Yeah.
I think there is a bit of a factor of... I get the 1 bye during the middle of the year. I guess that's fair enough. But you don't need one before the finals. No. I don't think you do. No, I don't think many AFL clubs want it either. Surely not. Because they're not... Most of the... maybe the bottom 4 teams in the finals, but you don't want to be aiming for 5th. Yeah. You want to be aiming for top 4 to get that double chance.
Exactly. So it doesn't give any advantage to the top 4 to begin with that bye. Yeah. I've always believed that. And...
the first time they brought it in, the Western Bulldogs won it from 7.
Yeah. Just because the Swans didn't win that year.
Well, that was not because of the bias, because the umpire on the final day.
I think it was a prime example of the finals this year. That Carlton and GWS both made the prelims.
Well, to be fair, Port Adelaide were in fucking terrible form, and Melbourne weren't doing much
better.
Port
and Melbourne went out straight set. So you can say the top 4 does the extra bye week doesn't give an advantage to them.
Yeah. No, I get that as well. And I think also, because Port Adelaide, they kind of hit a roadblock, but they did win I think they won their last game or 2. They were heading into they were heading in with a little bit of momentum, but then obviously they just got halted with that week off. And even, not so much Melbourne, because even you could even say it for Melbourne, because they did in round 24 beat Sydney, which is a really big win. Then having to hit a roadblock of a game with a missed game. Then coming back against the best team, which is Collingwood. Yeah. And then coming up against one of the more informed teams, which is Carlton. Yeah. So, I don't... basically from the start of this video, there's no way to make it equal. Yeah. Video, podcast, idiot. But there's obviously no way to make it equal. But I do think the AFL fixture seriously needs to be looked at. I don't really think it was really sorted out this year with the opening round. I mean, we kind of thought that the AFL fixture would be somewhat fixed this season, but I mean,
I think
it doesn't look like
I think they just made it even worse.
it's more confusing than ever. I don't even get half of what they've done with the fixture, with the opening round and stuff. We already talked about that a couple of podcasts ago, so we won't go into it too much. But yeah, I don't think the fixture was really fixed too much at all. But I mean, Gather Round's still there, so I'm pretty happy with that. Just a couple more things before we move on into the world sport. Obviously, GMHBA has finally had their well, not fully built, but it's pretty much getting there now. The stand for so they're basically going to have finals there. They've called it the Joel Selwood stand, so good on him. I was a little bit surprised that they just gave it to him,
because before, when they did knock it down and all that, there was Gary Ablett seniors and.
Oh yeah, there's the run. The run.
Yeah, so there was an end for him as well. So I'm surprised they didn't put aside of it for him and maybe.
Gary to be fair, Joel Selwood's a multiple premiership.
Yeah, so I can understand why they've named it after him, but I think there's also some other people that probably deserved it as well, like Gary Ablett Senior and his son
Junior.
Yeah,
Nathan Ablett could have got it.
Making it all Ablett.
They should have named it the Nathan Ablett stand just to fuck him off. That'd have been so good.
Yeah, he does deserve it for what he's done for that club.
Yeah,
and yeah.
Do you think they'll have? I mean, they've only played one final there and they lost it.
Yeah.
So do you think that? Do you think this gives them finals there though?
Yeah, it does. Yeah. It does.
Do you think it makes it not unfair, but? Does it though? I mean, they don't play at Marvel Stadium, but they play at the MCG. I mean, this is not going to have more of a capacity than Marvel, is it? Because Marvel can fit at least 45. Yeah, I mean, I get the Geelong probably would get it there, but let's say Brisbane, Sydney, and Port, for example, host 3 finals, and the last one is Geelong.
Yeah.
Would they have the only final for week 1 at GMHBA Stadium?
Yeah, you'd
think they'd push that at the MCG.
Well, I think that would come down to who the other team is. I think if it was a Freo,
But if it was but I mean, if it was Collingwood, that just gives an advantage to Collingwood.
Exactly.
If they were at the MCG.
So you got to think like that. But if it was say a West Coast who they played against Geelong down at GMHBA. Yes, it's a big West Coast is a big fan base, and they do have a lot of members.
But they're not filling up the MCG.
But they're not going to fill up the MCG.
Yeah.
And they would fill up the GMHBA. So I think the AFL just got to consider, obviously, with most of their decisions, how much money they're going to actually get for what they do. But
yeah, well, that's true. I mean, it's... And also, I don't know if people even remember this, but the reason why it took so long to build this stand is because they recently, when it was going to be built last year, they used cheap, I think, Chinese metal, and it wasn't built structurally properly. So they had to tear it all down just to rebuild it. Yeah. So hopefully that doesn't happen again, because they don't need that fucking coming down. Would you sit there? I'd be a little bit sketchy.
Well, to be honest, it's where the opposition cheer squad's going to be.
Yeah, so if we ever go back to Victoria to watch the footy and we have to go to GMHBA, I don't know. To be fair, when we were at the ground on the wing, when you're looking right down, you can't actually see.
You can't see you
can't see the boundary line.
Yeah.
So I think that needs to be looked at as well. But that's just as a fan. I mean, it's not as bad as you see in some English football, like when you see the big posts standing out from the ground and they just completely block everything, and it's a terrible spot to sit anyway. I mean, that's all that's really wanted to talk about. One more thing I just want to talk about as well. Scott Lycett has been announced that he's going to be moving to Port District. So it's we used to play footy there, but I mean, imagine it. They actually get paid quite a lot of money to play A grade football. So I don't know how much he's getting paid, but I think he used to play for Port Districts as well.
His juniors, he started at Port Districts.
So I mean, he's back there now. So I was a little bit surprised that he's Port. I'm a little bit surprised, to be honest, that he didn't play for the Port Magpies. I thought for sure he would have been able to play there as a reserve player. But I guess, like I said, I think they'd be paying Port Districts. They could almost be paying the same amount because they get paid a shitload of money, and he could also have some media thing or something down here too. There's a lot of AFL players obviously move media or could have good jobs coming down here. So, I mean, that's just something I just wanted to quickly mention. But we can move into some world sport now, and the first thing I want to talk about is actually a little bit of cricket. I don't know if you saw this, but a WBBL player was actually recently pinged a 5-run penalty for catching the ball because she had that was thrown in from the outfield with a towel.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
So, so obviously as it was played out, the runs were done. They stopped running. The two batsmen, obviously, thrown in. The bowler was wiping her hands with her towel, ready for the next ball or whatever, and she caught the ball, not even thinking about it, and like she got pinged 5 runs for it. I don't know. What do you think of that?
I think that was a bit harsh, but it's like when you have your helmet when you're wicket keeper and you have the helmet behind you, and if the ball hits it, it's an automatic 5 runs. And it's like with even if it's a hat or something, if it's on the field, it's classified as you get an automatic 5-point penalty.
Yeah,
run penalty. Yeah.
I just think a little bit of common sense needs to be used. I mean, it's not like it was going to stop. Like I think when you look at that, like you talk about the helmet, that's stopping runs.
Yeah.
Like the way she was catching it, unless she dropped it. Like, I mean, yes, she could have dropped it. I get that she could have dropped it, but her hand, like the helmet can be an obstruction. I don't think that if she was trying to take a catch trying to take a catch or trying to stop runs, like if it was running towards the boundary and she had a towel or something to grip it or a glove, I think that's fair enough. But the fact that she was just catching the ball she was just catching the ball, but she was already wiping her hands. Even if she did take it out to catch it, I think maybe fair enough. But she already had it in her hands. I don't think that really deserved a 5-run penalty.
And also, you got to think I don't even think the opposition, the players batting, were like if they appealed saying, "Hey, she just used a towel and that should be a 5-run penalty." None of them did that. So
I don't even think they noticed.
Even the bowler. She looked at the umpire and said, "Why is that 5 runs?"
Yeah.
It was she was shocked. And so, I think it was a little harsh, but...
Yeah, I mean, it's all done now. So, I don't know if that even cost them the game. I don't even know what game it was, to be honest. I think it was actually a little bit of a talking point because the finals were actually coming up pretty soon for the BBL, and it could have cost both the Heat and the Sixers because they were fighting for a final spot. But does the umpire, even watching the clip right now, the umpire's standing there, pays the 4 runs. All of them are standing there looking around like, what has happened here? Because I'd even get it if the batsmen were still running, but they were both in their crease.
Yeah.
I really don't think that should have been paid. That's just my point anyway. I think maybe a little bit of common sense should be used, but that's just my talking point. Not really much else in the cricket situation now. Obviously, we won the World Cup. We talked about that last week. Going into a bit of soccer... we may well have seen what could have been the goal of the year, I think, with Garnacho. Recently in the Premier League last night, I think it was last night? Oh, well, 2 nights ago for people who are watching. Manchester United versus Everton. Garnacho, has been known as one of the wonder kids for Argentina. Moved to Manchester United this season. Been kind of down on form, hasn't done too much, but just look it up on... just look up the Manchester United Everton highlights. It will be on there if you want to see it. But basically... kind of Wayne Rooney-esque. I think Wayne Rooney probably was a little bit better. Yeah. But that was a wonder goal, really, to hit that from where he hit it from. It was a massive goal. United won the game in the end, I think 3-0. But, I think that's got to be a contender so far. Yeah. I don't think much is beating that.
No, I don't think anyone's beaten that goal.
Yeah, I mean, we actually, on the Champions League this morning, there was another goal scored in the, who was it? It was, where's the result? Not fixtures, results. It was Atletico Madrid's player, Hermosa, I'll get that right. And they're up against Feyenoord, and Hermosa did kick a very nice goal. He flicked it off the outside of his boot and flew over the top of the keeper and into the net. Again, it's on Stan Sports for anyone in Australia if you want to see the goal as well. I think he kind of fluked it. That's what
it was a fluke. It was a fluke. He just put his foot out there and he just watched it sail over the goalkeeper's
head. That's why I think that one. I mean, you can kind of give it like props because he did well. I don't know if he was expecting it to go in, but I think he was wanting a goal, but I don't think he was trying to fluke. I don't know. Maybe he was trying to cross it. Maybe he's trying to get a deflection. Hopefully it bounced in. I don't think he was trying to hope for what was happening there. I think the Garnacho goal was better.
Yeah, it was. 100% it was better.
Yeah. Well, alright, fucking whatever. Just shut me up. Still looking at the Champions League. There isn't obviously more games tomorrow. Galatasaray will play Manchester United. Obviously, you'll be seeing this in the morning. Sevilla will be playing PSV. Bayern Munich will be playing Copenhagen. Arsenal will be playing RC Lens. Real Madrid will be playing Napoli. Braga will be playing Union Berlin. Benfica will be playing Inter Milan. Real Sociedad will be playing Salzburg. And I think that's it for that. Yeah, that's all for the fixtures there. And obviously looking at the games that went on during today, Barcelona beat Porto 2-1. Young Boys beat Savina, that's not a word I can say on camera. Young Boys won 2-0 anyway, so we don't really care about who they beat. Manchester City won 3-2 over Leipzig after Leipzig had a really good 2-0 start.
Yeah.
In the first
They should have lost that. They should not have lost that.
In Group F, PSG drew 1-1 with Newcastle, which was an absolute joke of a penalty.
Yeah, it was controversial. I don't know how the hell the VAR gave that it's a penalty, but it gave
the ref looks at that and pays a penalty. It's pretty ridiculous. And cost Newcastle 3 points, which I mean is costly because Newcastle are now 2 points. Well, we're in third spot right now, and I've got AC Milan level with them. Goal difference is an issue, but they've only got one more game in the Champions League, and now they're basically destined to be out of it at this point.
I've got to hope
because they've got to hope for PSG to lose, and they've got to win. I don't know if I can find who they're playing next. They do have AC Milan, so they do have a chance. Dortmund do play PSG, so there is a chance there, but that's I mean, look, if they take it away, 1 point each way, 6 and 4. Newcastle are in the top 2 of their group because of that penalty. But because they're not, because the penalty was paid, they go back and they don't get that, and then they get fucked over. I think there's a couple more games just to quickly take a look at on the results side. We have Shakhtar who beat Antwerp, who are a Belgian side, 1-0. Lazio beat Celtic 2-0, and that's all on that side. So at the moment, looking at the Champions League's table, Atletico Madrid and Lazio are both qualified for the round of 16. Borussia Dortmund has that's in Group E, by the way. Why did it not go to? Oh, so that's. So we're just looking at the 4 groups right now that have finished their 5 games. So obviously tomorrow there will be changes. In Group F, Borussia Dortmund have qualified for the round of 16. PSG, Newcastle, and AC Milan all could still make second spot. Right now, PSG sit on 7 points. Newcastle on 5, as well as AC Milan. In Group G, Manchester City have qualified. They've got 5 wins in 5 games. They're on 15 points right now. Leipzig have qualified in second spot. And in Group H, we have Barcelona, who have... I'm going to call that. I think they've made it. I mean, they're on goal difference. They've got 7 goals. Porto and Shakhtar are both on 9 points, but Shakhtar are on 0 right now for goal difference, while Barcelona are obviously on 7. So unless Shakhtar can win by 8 goals in their next game and Barcelona lose, well, maybe not by 8 goals, but they can reduce their goal difference, then maybe they can make it. But other than that, I doubt it. So Barcelona made it. Porto and Shakhtar will be fighting it out for that last round of 16 spot in Group... What was that? Group H. God, that was a bit of a mouthful. Now you talk. One more thing in the soccer space. This is something you brought to me. Football is set to now trial a orange card in top flight football matches. Now, I guess you can talk about this because you kind of brought this to me. So this is an orange card. So how would this work in a game?
They're saying that it's going to work as that instead of giving a yellow card, that if it's like a serious offence, like when a penalty's given and you see like the opposition, like 7 or 8 players go straight to the referee and argue with him, saying how the fuck is that a penalty and shit like that, and the referee can just give an instant an orange card, and you sit in a sin bin for 10 minutes. So
it's not replacing the yellow card though. So yellow cards are still going to be given.
That's what I'm assuming that's what they're saying. But,
so yellow cards.
So you get a yellow card, obviously. Yeah, you can still play obviously.
Yeah.
But obviously, if you get an orange card, that's more. I think it's more for a dissent way. Yeah. And they're saying at the moment it's going to be trialled in the Premier League as of next year.
Why would they trial it in the biggest league in the world?
I don't know.
The world? Why would they not trial this in like?
Maybe in the Championship or something.
Yeah, in the Championship. Why wouldn't you? Or in League 4. Whatever. Give Wrexham a go at it. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I feel that's strange.
It's just.
But obviously, red cards will be the same.
Yeah.
If you get a red card, you're off.
Yeah.
So they're kind of like a middle ground. Like maybe you've done one foul, you've gone for your second. It wasn't a big deal, but it's probably enough for another yellow.
Yeah.
So give you 10 minutes on the bench,
Yeah.
or maybe even.
I think it's more of a like I said, the dissent. Like if you go to the referee, I think they want a trial that that only the captain can go up to the referee and like argue or decide why did you give that penalty and shit like that. Then like 8 blokes going up to the referee saying you're a dickhead. There's no way that was a foul. I never touched the fucking football
or swearing in 20 different languages.
Yeah,
from 20 different players from different countries around the world. They're all
Yeah.
swearing at him in different languages.
Yeah, exactly.
They're just giving up. What would they give it? Would you imagine they would probably give 1 to maybe the captain if like 10 of them walked up? So they gave 10.
Maybe,
If they gave 10-minute warnings to every player.
Well, they could.
I mean, it'll be the goalkeeper standing out there, and then like
Yeah.
one outfield player.
Yeah, well, I'm assuming that's what they're gonna do. That he would go to the captain of the team, and they're like, well, he's sitting on the bench, so he'll probably not pick a hopefully your goalkeeper doesn't do something stupid.
Yeah.
Because if he gets a 10 minutes sit down, you're kind of screwed.
Yeah, I mean, you could send out. It was AC Milan did it sometime this year. They had to shuck Olivier Giroud into the goalkeeper.
Yeah.
They chucked him in there. He saved a couple.
And
He saved a couple of absolute sodas to save.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, "Oh my god, he's insane!"
Yeah,
It's like, yeah, bro. I'm sure he has eyes and he can catch the football.
Yeah.
But anyway, last thing as always, guys, for this off-season edition of the Boundary Riders podcast, we do have our NFL chat. A couple of big games, and of course the Falcons did win, so we are very proud of ourselves.
We're happy today. Nah.
And we are currently I know you're just keep quiet for a minute. We are currently top seeded in our
so someone has to win the
conference.
someone has to win the NFC South, so they have to.
Yeah, so they've kind of pushed the Falcons up there.
It's kind of pathetic. Well, all your records are like less than 500.
Yeah, I think at the moment
all of them in that league is like.
Close. Yeah, so at the moment, looking at the division, the Falcons and the Saints are top of that.
Yeah,
with 5 and 6, and they're both under 500%.
Yeah, so that's crap. I'm sorry, that's not really fair.
But the Falcons have beaten all 3 of their divisional teams
and
so far.
That's the only reason that they are top, because they have beaten everyone in their.
To be fair, everyone else in that division doesn't want to win it.
No, going on other results, the Cowboys look like they're bloody homebound. They are so good at home.
Yeah.
I think they said that each game so far this season they've flogged a team by 20 points or more at home. And
they've always been a good offensive team though.
And you got to give credit to Bland on the defensive side. He got the record for the most pick sixes. So his run on Thanksgiving was pretty good.
Yeah.
Once he did it. The San Francisco 49ers look like they're back in form, because they did have their little slump a bit last month, so they won against Seattle.
Yeah, they won their last 3 games as well, so they're doing really... Oh, sorry. They won their last 3 games as well, the 49ers.
Yeah. And then the Patriots and Giants played out a cellar dweller shit game. Somehow the Giants won that again. And then now they're all about this DeVito guy that's the Italian guy that fucking loves the celebration of being Italian and shit like that. I don't know. Fucking.
What is he? A kicker?
No, he's the QB, because they've lost all their other quarterbacks.
So they just pick someone from Italy. Yeah. I didn't know that Italy.
Well, no, because he's got an Italian background.
Oh well, fuck
yeah. So they're all about this because his celebration is a bit like that. Yeah.
So he's got Italian heritage.
Yeah. So
wouldn't half the people from like New Jersey?
Yeah.
From Boston or whatever, like fucking. Sitting there like...
because he's from New Jersey and all that sort of shit. He plays for the Giants and he shit like...
Hey, forget about it. Yeah. Like fucking half of them would be bloody Italian immigrants.
Yeah, exactly. So it was a whole gimmick because the Giants are so shit. But,
well, to be honest, they're not doing that bad. They're better than the Commanders. They've now just jumped the Commanders and now they're 3rd, but they're out because... the Cowboys are just dominating, and obviously the only other team beating them at the moment is the Eagles.
Yeah, well, did you hear the news that Aaron Rodgers could be back before Christmas?
What, for the Jets?
Yeah. Well, they fucking need him.
Well, they need him.
They fucking need him.
Well, they want him. I mean, fucking
they are horrible on fucking offense. They are horrible, the Jets.
Well, they would have been banking on the fact that he's going to carry them to playoffs or something. They would have been making all their plays throughout the off season.
Yeah.
You know, around how Aaron Rodgers is going to play, and he goes down in the first play of the year of the season. Yeah, they'd be pretty pissed off. They have lost their last 4 games as well, the Jets, and they're lucky the Patriots are doing so poorly because they're not doing that much better.
Yeah. Well, what was another result? The Rams dominated the Cardinals. They dominated 37-14.
Yeah, we couldn't even fucking beat the Cardinals.
Yeah.
Fucking.
And the Broncos, they're doing all right. Another win again, the Broncos. So
currently have won their last 5.
Yeah, so they're playing good. They're playing good. Football.
I mean, looking on the ledger, they are the most informed team at the moment,
exactly.
along with Philadelphia.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you're banking them two against each other, I'm probably picking Philly.
Yeah.
But they're finally getting some sort of run, the Broncos. I mean, it's taken, Russell Wilson a year and a half.
Yeah.
But it looks like now they've finally got a way to use him that's actually helping them out.
Yeah, the Chiefs won. They were down, I think 14-0 to begin the game, but they won. They beat the Raiders when they needed to.
Yeah,
the
Raiders kind of suck.
The Raiders do suck, but yeah. And two more things. The Eagles somehow won in overtime to the Bills. So Josh Allen again fucks up in OT.
Yeah, I mean, that was a bit of a joke. I can't believe they didn't win that.
Yeah, what's his name? The kicker for Elliott for the Eagles.
Yeah,
had to do a 59-yard field goal, get them to OT, and he does it.
Yeah,
it was when he went through, because it was so windy and raining down in Philly that Monday night, and he kicks it. I was shocked because he was waving. It was if it was another.
It was a pretty low kick too.
Yeah, it was a low dart, and I reckon if it was 5 yards back, 2 or 3 yards back, he would have missed. The wind would have taken it out.
That's why it hit it so low.
Yeah,
so that's actually a pretty good way to do it. I know obviously you think about it like most kicks, say at that 90-degree angle. Yeah. Because if you kick it lower, obviously it slices through the air. It doesn't get caught as much by the wind.
Yeah. So
it was actually a good kick, but fuck man, they did get a bit lucky.
Yeah, they did, and then of course the curse of Josh Allen in OT again strikes again.
Yeah.
And just the last thing I wanted to say was that the Texans played pretty well against the Jags, and in the last play of the game, hit the crossbar for the field goal to get them into OT, misses it. It's heartbreaking for the Texans.
Yeah, it was a good kick. I thought it was going to get there, and then it just hit and then you look at the replay, hit the crossbar. Obviously the crossbar of the NFL goal was a lot different. I don't know if you'd be still listening if you're not familiar with the NFL, but yeah, obviously hit the crossbar and bounced straight back out.
Yeah.
If it did bounce in though, it would have counted.
Yeah, so. But you got to think just two different games. The Eagles game in pouring down rain, windy, 59-yard kick gets it, Elliott, and the kicker for the Texans I think was only 49 yards in perfect weather, and he hits the crossbar. Yeah. So it depends on who's better in clutch moments and that. So.
Yeah, but also Stroud had another great game for the Texans as well.
And his new partner in Dell, I can't remember his first name, but Dell, they're doing a good combo, them two, him and the wide receiver, Stroud and Dell. So
you were just talking about a minute ago, just before we started, about how the team who wanted to get Stroud, but they picked someone else.
Yeah, well, Carolina Panthers just fired their coach, and now they're saying that the coach and the QB coach for Carolina
wanted to get Stroud.
CJ Stroud, but they didn't want to argue with the general manager or the GM for the Carolina, so they got Bryce Young. So. But you could say that, but you could also say, well, he just got sacked, he just got fired. Well, he's probably going to say what he's going to say.
And like I said before, linking it back to footy, I'm sure there'd be a lot of St Kilda people around saying, oh, we really wanted to pick up Marcus Bontempelli, but unfortunately we had to pick Jack Billings.
Yeah, it's like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you're going to say that sort of shit when they're on the way out or whatever, but... Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much all we've got for you guys in today's episode of the Boundary Riders Podcast. Thank you for watching or listening, as always. I probably should be mentioning this a little bit earlier. We do have a Patreon. You get early access to everything that we do. Basically, at the moment, we've got videos coming out basically a week for all the Boundary Riders, like footy stuff, a week before it comes out. So make sure to check that out. The new Twinners podcast, basically a couple of weeks before that's actually released to everyone, so you can watch that early. And this podcast does come out a few hours early, basically the night before. You can watch that as well. When we start getting a few members, obviously shout outs will be channel memberships will be coming out as well on YouTube as soon as we get monetized on there. So if you are happy about the channel, you're really liking it, liking the footy chat, liking all that sort of stuff, then make sure to like and subscribe on YouTube. Give us 5 stars on Spotify. That's really all from us though, guys. So I guess we will catch us all in the next one.
See you later, guys.